Hello, I'm Ronnie Eldridge. Welcome to Eldridge and Company. I first met Martha Baker in Bella Abzug's congressional office. That was quite a while ago. She was organizing efforts to improve the lives of women and girls. She's still doing that, a little differently, but with the same spirit and determination. Boy, you have a lot of spirit. You never seem to get discouraged.
Determination, that's what it is.
So over the last more than 30 years that I've known you, I know
I was only 10 when you met me, obviously.
Oh, that's right. Well, I wasn't much older. I know that you've mentored young women, that's been an important part of your life, that you're assigned, is it, or meet a young woman, and you become her companion, right? And her advisor and her mentor. And then most of your work, though, has been done not only to develop them to the point that they're in the labor market, but then to protect women in the labor market, right? From all kinds of things.
That's absolutely correct.
And to look for more money.
Right.
For them.
Always. Always.
So let's just talk about it.
Well, first of all, let's start with young women.
Yeah.
What's the point, what's the purpose of doing all the work that many of us have done if we don't pass it on to younger women?
Right.
We say we're working to make lives better for them, but we need to include them in the process. Otherwise, they're ill-prepared when they get to the point where they need to be doing this work.
It's such an important thing. Do they always understand what you're saying?
Not always, but they do get it. I mean, first of all, I think they get it kind of intrinsically, they internalize it, and then little by little they understand intellectually what you're all about and what you're trying to do.
How old are they when they start with you?
Well, when we started, and certainly you were involved early on in the early 80s in the state mentoring program,
right.
We started originally, and that was an early program in terms of mentoring nationally. That was really
ahead, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was ahead of its time. And we focused on girls that were juniors and seniors in high school. Well, we learned a lot through that, and we started backtracking because we knew even that was kind of late to start talking to girls.
Yeah.
Because so many choices have already been made in their lives. Not that it's the end of their life. We know that there are lots of opportunities to make changes, but it's so important if we could reach them even earlier. So then you start looking at freshmen and sophomores in high school. And then I became involved with a project called Girls Speak Out, which works with girls from the ages of 8 to 18.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's amazing. The girls are very smart. They're very bright. You're not talking down to anybody. You involve them in the process. And they bring so much to the table. Not only their energy, but their ideas.
So great. I have an 8-year-old daughter she has the second best throw in her school. And it's so interesting to watch because it's a struggle for her.
Right.
She also cuts her hair fairly short, and she's adorable. But when she was a little younger, people would think she was a boy, and she would let them think it because it was easier than telling them.
I know, and that's what we want to avoid.
Right.
A girl should not have to be other than what she is.
Right.
To enjoy, whether it's sports or whether it's an occupation. That's thought of as a male occupation.
The pink is an interesting thing for us to trace, isn't
it? Yes,
because it goes right up to what you're doing today.
It absolutely is.
I was in the Gap yesterday. Everything was pink or lavender, or flowers and all that. So let's talk about what are you doing today?
Well, I work as a consultant now, and I work on the issues that are important to me. So I'm able to work on issues that involve women, their opportunities for employment, how they come to those opportunities through the school system, where they should get the opportunity. Right. And I also work on work-family issues.
Well, you worked when you worked you were the director of the Commission on the Status of Women.
Yes, under David Dinkins, when he was the mayor. I was the executive director of the Commission on the Status of Women at that time.
And there you did a lot of work on sexual harassment in the workplace.
That is correct.
Right.
We did a wonderful study that is as relevant today, I think, as it was then. We did a study on the entire municipal workforce and how they were dealing with the issue of sexual harassment. And in fact, I would recommend to this mayor at this date that there be an office established to deal with sexual harassment.
Because it is unlike report.
Yes, it is unlike any other form of discrimination.
And it's much more, it seems to me it's more apparent these days. I mean, there are more people bringing suits and more people talking about it. You went from there into actual work on the workplace, right?
That's correct.
And
I took over a nonprofit that was failing at the time and built it back up to a really prestigious role in the workplace as it is now, called Nontraditional Employment for Women. I was the executive director for about 9 years, and what we did was train women who were out of school,
Right.
but had a GED or a high school diploma, and we trained them to be prepared and placed into the building trades unions to do what's called non-traditional work,
Which
was mostly in the construction industry,
Yeah.
but also in work like Con Edison or any field that has less than 25% female is considered non-traditional for
Is
women.
that right? Should
That's
we
correct.
change that, or is that good or bad?
Well, it's good in that we need to highlight some of these areas.
Right.
There are many, many areas, like, for instance, air traffic controllers. One does not need some special skill. Male or female needs to have a skill to do this
And there
work
aren't
and
many
can
women
be trained.
they'd be good.
There
They'd
are
be very good air traffic
next to no
controllers.
women
Isn't that
in
interesting?
that area.
Has anybody sued for that or done anything?
No,
like that?
but it's an area that I am planning to pursue.
Oh, that's very good.
Through the federal government, because what they do is they fund a group of 13 colleges around the country with a special program to train people for this work. And it should be
And
men and
there's a
women.
great need for them, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Huge turnover.
I remember.
Very high salary, I might add.
Yeah, very good.
Very high.
Most of these jobs are very well paid,
Absolutely, with good benefits.
and the traditional jobs for women are not so well paid,
That's-
including teaching.
That's right. I mean, the
Which is
most
so
important
awful.
thing is you want to focus on jobs that provide not only a good salary, but benefits. Women need
Yeah.
benefits desperately.
Yeah.
They need it because, in many cases, they're responsible for their families. And the reason that we were focusing on the construction industry was because you did not need higher than a high school diploma or a GED. And so women, they have the ability. They can be trained to do this work. And they bring it a devotion and a determination that is usually beyond what the men have, because the men accept it as a job.
Right.
When women
Something
take this
special.
plunge, they're really serious about it.
When I had a daughter who worked for non-traditional employment for women, and she used to go to the work site to talk them into hiring more women. But we used to laugh because an operating engineer in a crane, all they do is push buttons, right?
That's correct.
So what's such a big deal about it? But in this effort to get women into these jobs, you come up against the unions, or not up against the unions. You have to work with the unions.
Yes, you must work with the unions. I mean, in this city, in this metropolitan area, we are in a union environment. That's been to the benefit of women, because we no longer have the struggle of will they get equal pay for equal work. And for any of the squabbles that we've had with unions over the years, it's kind of like a family squabble, because without them, we would not have the women that we do have in this field now, because the corporations were not eager to
So
take on
what's
these.
the biggest challenge? Is it getting the women to want to do the work? Is it getting who does the hiring? The unions do the hiring?
The unions do the
Or
hiring.
supplying the
and-
contractors?
Yes, the unions supply the contractor with the workers in most cases. In many cases, the contractors may hire, and they do on job sites. Depends on whether you're an apprentice or a journey person, more skilled.
Right.
But it's bringing the notion, the concept of this work and what it could bring to women, so that you need to bring the idea to girls in school. That's how we backtrack
back
again.
to the mentoring.
You've got to go back into the schools. You've got to show them that there are options for them out there, whether they want to go to college or not. This doesn't mean that you don't want to go to college.
Right.
You can go on and study other things. But think about this as an option. You don't have to go into a nail salon or do hair or sit in an office or work in a
Be
store.
a companion.
That's right. So that there are other options. And if you like to work with your hands, if you like to work outside, if you don't mind getting dirty, if you want to earn a good salary, this may be something that you want to attempt to do.
And you don't have to talk very much. I get so tired sometimes of talking. I dream of either being mute or doing just a trade with my hands, something productive.
The issue that we are dealing with, though, is that we've had women in the trades for over 30 years, and we've made very incremental changes because we've never had an opportunity like we have today for all the wrong reasons, obviously. We have $25 billion going to be let in projects
For
in
the
this
World
city.
Trade, all told.
That's right.
Not
And
just
so-
the World Trade Center.
No, mostly downtown, but not just downtown. We've got projects in Queens. We've got projects in the Bronx. We've got certainly major projects in Brooklyn. So there is a fabulous opportunity before us. Columbia University says they have 1,200 new jobs a year for 25 years, the next
They're
25
developing
years.
17 acres or something on the west side
Right.
of Manhattan.
So we not only want to train women and have them enter into the workplace, but at this time, we can ensure that they'll have longevity in their jobs because they'll be able to work to the point where they are more secure in the workplace. It's not this up and down that we have with our economic development.
Providing they all continue the development.
And so because of it, I'm doing a conference in the spring, in April, to bring together government, the industry, the unions, the educational institutions, and women in the trades to talk about how we institutionalize protocols and labor management practices so that the women will be part of this. We don't have to go back and redesign a project labor agreement every time an opportunity for a large project comes into being. It's about time it's become institutionalized, that we all accept it as a way of life. And
the history, I remember when I worked for John Lindsay, there was the Philadelphia plan.
Right.
What is it? Then there was a different plan.
Right. We've had...
That's all for integrating unions as far as color and sex, basically.
Right. And the workplace has become far more integrated in this industry for men of color. Mm-hmm. It was all a white man's area at one time. Now there's been a major effort on the part of the unions and management as well to make sure that there are more men of color on the site. The women who come on the site are mostly women of color. Yep. So that when I talk to a union or an employer and they talk to me about diversity, I know they're talking about color. Yeah. And my issue to them is that if you talk about women, you are talking about diversity, because the women do represent the range of ethnicities and colors in this community. And that's what we want.
So we have to find the supply to provide
and the supply is there.
Yeah.
The supply is there.
And the unions are better about it? I mean, are there so many father-son unions, or is it hard to get into the unions?
Well, it's not easy because you need a certain skill, and they want to make sure that you're going to live up to the commitment. They invest a lot of money in you for your training, but they also provide you with a lot. So they want to find that kind of partnership with individuals. And the younger the person, the happier they are, because you've got a longevity in your work life. The father-son concept is not as obvious today as it once was, because a lot of the people who've worked in these positions have earned good livings. Their children have gone on to colleges, and guess what? They don't want to do this dirty work.
They're designing the buildings instead of building them.
Right.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So now the new workforce, who is it?
Yeah.
It's immigrants. Yeah. It's people of color. It's women.
Right, that's so interesting. Is the workforce themselves more tolerant about working with women? The male workforce?
Some of them are. I think there has been a change in terms of generation. The younger men are used to seeing wives and mothers and sisters working, so they tend to be more acceptant of women. But there are still places where it is not easy, and always when you have a single individual that's different than the rest of the workplace, that person runs the risk of having a problem. I don't care whether it's a person of color or a female. Right. But the critical mass is so important.
The construction of the new building at NYU, University Hospital, and looking at the graffiti. It was still a steel structure. I went up in not in an airplane, in an elevator, and it was, it's always shocking.
Some of it is still out there. Some of it is still out there, and we do hear Legal Momentum, who I'm working with, on this conference. It's under their auspices.
I have to say this.
Yeah.
That used to be the now Legal Defense Fund.
That's correct. They have changed their
All right.
name.
Well, we need that bridge. It may
Yes.
take 20 years, but we need it. All right.
But they represent some of the women
of the
who
cases.
have to deal with these
Where
issues.
is the conference going to be?
It's going to be in Lower Manhattan, and it will be held at the Museum of Jewish Tradition.
And will it be open to people?
It will.
Uh-huh.
And we will make
Will
announcements.
there be a website?
Yes.
Do you have a website now?
Not yet, but it will be attached to the Legal Momentum website.
Okay, that's good. Let's go back to the mentoring. If somebody wanted to mentor a young woman, what do they do? How do they get in touch with somebody?
Well, there's mentoring that takes place in a lot of different forums now. There are mentoring organizations.
And Matilda Cuomo certainly got into mentoring in a big
Oh,
way.
yes, she did. Thanks to Ronnie and
I know.
others.
It was Linda.
Yes. But Linda Lafredo, who was so
Right.
important
Wonderful.
to our whole mentoring process that we had when we were with the state of New York, was key. But there are lots of groups that do it now, and certainly New York City has a major mentoring program.
All right.
So it's done in some cases through businesses, but always tried to be connected to the school system.
Right.
So the department, our now Department of Education, has a mentoring office, as it's had now for the number of years.
You also worked in the workmen's compensation department.
Excuse me, Ronnie.
was it?
That is workers.
Excuse me. It shows you how old I am.
The New York State Workers' Compensation Board. Yes, I
And
did.
that is a very busy place too, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and it is an experience unto itself. I learned a great deal about working with insurance companies and representing people who are injured on the job and making sure that they get their due and what that means. And I think to this day, and certainly in these past few years, there has not been much done to help the injured worker. It's really awful. It's terrible.
And there's nothing we seem to be able to do?
Well, one would hope, perhaps, with our
governor?
new governor, that we will do some restructuring at the
When
Workers'
we went back and
Compensation
you were
Board.
talking about color and working on, being hired, the African Americans organized a lot, didn't they?
Yes.
Do the women do that?
Now they do. And over the years, women have tried to organize themselves, but they've never had that much power. They have never been seen as a force. I think they're much stronger now. Most of the major unions have women's committees.
Right.
The construction unions
And
have women's committees.
there's also an overall labor organization for women. Or
Well-
is it 1199?
No. There's,
What is that?
you mean CLU, the Coalition of Labor Union Women? Which is,
no, for leave and things like that. What was that organization?
oh,
what was
the
that
New York
coalition?
State Paid Family
Right,
Leave
right,
Coalition.
yes.
Which
That
is
was a pretty powerful group.
That is a wonderful group. I think that they are doing really important work for workers everywhere,
that's what I
male
meant.
and female,
Yeah.
because this is a coalition made up of union people, union leaders, of health organizations, of women's organizations, of seniors, because paid family leave is necessary, not just in terms of women and their children and a sick child or a new mother, but many of us are dealing with older parents, and one needs time to care for them if they're ill or make certain arrangements if arrangements need to be made. And oftentimes it's short-term leave that somebody needs. And nobody wants to give up their job. And usually you can't afford
Right.
to take the time off to do what you need to do. Paid family leave would be an immense help
And now
to the
that's
workplace.
lobbying in Albany.
It's at this point, it is really organizing.
Okay.
We don't call it lobbying
Sorry.
because some of us are not lobbyists, but we
Right.
do organize with businesses, with insurance companies, with organizations for their support, and then build that support,
So that you look for
transfer it to
legislation.
the legislature.
So it all comes down eventually to public officers, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
To the mayor,
Always.
to the legislatures, to everything else. And you've always been interested in politics.
Yes.
Having met you in Bella's office.
Yes.
And especially supportive of women in office or running
Correct.
for office and doing that. And you remain totally optimistic about it. right?
Isn't it amazing?
It is amazing. But then you had a great year this year,
Yes.
right? They did nationally as well as in the state. We elected some very good people.
I am the eternal
are.
optimist. I don't think you can continue working like this if you're not.
No, you're not. You can't. That's why I'm doing this and not doing the organizing.
This has been a wonderful year. We have seen some major changes in terms of people that have been elected. Young women, women in positions where they have not been before, not only here in New York, and we made some dramatic changes here in New York, although all our new state officials are male, I'm sorry to say, although they're wonderful.
Sympathetic to women's issues,
yes,
or women's
they are.
concerns, needs, not even issues.
That's right.
There are no women's issues.
And,
they're everybody's.
and I must say, for those that I've met, at least the two leaders, their wives are fantastic people, and that's always a good sign as well. I always respect a man who is smart enough to marry a smart woman, so says something about him.
Yeah.
And other parts of the country, we've had some wonderful wins. One of the most exciting things I saw was a photo in a Seattle newspaper of 3 women. They're 2 United States senators and the governor of the state of Washington.
Isn't that incredible?
And it was just...
And what is the change from when Bella was in Congress?
Right.
The change has been quite substantial.
Yes, it has.
What would Bella be doing now?
Well, I think she would have been organizing for the last 6 years against this administration, that's for sure.
Right.
About their tactics, about the language they use, about their whole attack on our personal freedoms, beside the international. What's happening here at home, it's just been horrendous.
Right. With Bella, you did get involved in international women's things, and that's a very interesting area because we have had, I mean, these terms that we throw around today, but it's globalization of the women's movement for us, right?
That's right.
So tell me about it. I mean, what are the women all around the world? It's the same kind of chemistry when you sit with women and you exchange the same things?
Yes, women are women everywhere. I mean, the concerns are the same. We're worried about family, we're worried about employment, we're worried about health, we're worried about security.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, you know, what you look like, how old you are, or where you live. We all have the same concerns, and how exciting to look around the world and see some of the new women leaders that have been elected in countries.
Yeah,
South America and Africa.
South America is really exciting.
Yes.
Yeah, and Africa too.
Of Chile.
Right. So are they doing the same kind of workers' protection and integration in the workforce?
I think the integration in the workforce is utmost importance to them because they all are working on their economic issues. Workplace issues are at a varying state in different countries, depending upon the, I don't know, I don't want to say sophistication, because that's not necessarily.
Well,
I remember when we were in China, well, it's 10 years ago now, when we were there for the International Women's Conference, and I was at a meeting with Chinese officials from the Department of Labor in China, and at that time they were concerned about their mixed economy, and we discussed workers' compensation and we discussed different benefits, and they were trying to deal with an economy that was controlled by the state to an economy that had all these foreign businesses coming in, and what did they want and what they didn't want. And I just remember at the time saying, please don't give up the things that you've already got to emulate what we have, because you don't want to emulate everything we have. I mean, it's paid education is not one thing you should want. You should want from us. Stick with free education.
Right. It's so interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. So there's different levels of understanding of where economies are in terms of their benefit structure.
Did you have special training to start all this work?
There is no such thing. That's what I tell young girls all the time. You know, I was not born knowing what I know, and I was not born doing what I do.
So how did you get into this?
I started in the women's peace movement.
Right.
Well, at first I was in the civil rights movement as a kid.
Yeah.
And then I was in the the women's peace movement, always. That's where I met Bella in the late 60s. And from there got involved in lots of issues, certainly national issues, but then started getting more involved in local issues, worked with women, then worked with girls, worked with workers, worked with labor movements.
And you did it while you had a family?
Oh, yes.
How many children do you have?
I have 2 children and
How
3
many grandchildren?
3
Twins,
grandchildren.
right?
Twins and an older grandson.
Yeah. It's interesting because I developed into what I did the same way. But I worry that we're not going to get replaced because there are so many professional women working already into a profession, and there are so many other women so concerned with just supporting themselves that we don't seem to have, and we don't have the movements that we used to have. So how do we do, I mean, where do we get the spirit? Is this the challenge that some of us older people face?
It is the challenge. I heard some young women talk, a young woman who was just elected to Congress. I heard her speak last night. She's
well, tell us her name because you like her so much.
Kirsten Gillibrand was just elected to Congress, representing the 20th District.
Which is?
From Hudson, New York, up north.
Right.
It's mid-Hudson.
She's somebody that people should watch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Young, dynamic, and brilliant. And talked about organizing young women. And because she started to do that before she ran for Congress, and it made a difference. And we've got to be able to talk to these women about all of these issues because it does affect their personal lives.
Right.
As insular as they think their lives are. In fact, every one of these issues affects their personal life. And so if they don't get involved, somebody else is making the decision.
Well, I'm sorry that we've gone through our half hour, but certainly we ended up with a very important message. Thank you so much for coming.
It was a pleasure.
If there are any people you'd like to hear and topics you'd like us to explore, please let me know. You can write to me at CUNY TV, 365 Fifth Avenue, New York, New York, 10016, or you can go to the website at cuny.tv and click on Contact Us. I look forward to hearing from you.